Hey, hey, I think that we are actually live. The YouTube machine says that I'm live. So here we are, little impromptu live stream. I'm going to start doing more of these, I think, over the next few weeks, kind of just end the year with some more live streams. Haven't been doing enough of that lately. I don't think I've been bogged down with Brad on Off-Centered. Need to kind of spread my wings a little bit and go back to some of the lives with other folks. I think that's a good idea. So, guys, thank you very much for joining. I've got special guest Mike, baseball collector, also the co-founder of BenchClear Media. I'm excited to have him on. I'm going to go ahead and just bring you out, Mike. We'll just do the thing. How's it going, man?
I'm going to help you fly tonight. I'm going to help you
soar. We're flying. We are soaring away. Brad got a gig. I think I mentioned in my video earlier. I'm pretty sure that he's dressing up as an elf at the Macy's through the rest of the year, passing out, I don't know, giveaways or whatever. Just kidding, Brad. Sort of. I don't actually know what he's got going on. It could very well be that. All right. Let's say hello to Brian Sherland, Bucks/Suns fan. Yeah. Drew Larson, good to see you, man. Might be with Disney. Yeah, who knows? Who knows with Brad? He's flying out probably to Colorado to do a Lexus commercial or something wonky. Ryan, good to see you. Michael Ham. Troy, always consistent. Love seeing you, bud. Crazy Kev. Colorado sports dude. Jeff Eklund. Oh, New York Yanks fan 7. I think I saw a video or I caught just a clip of him with Silver Jackify doing like collection battle or something like that. That was a good one.
Yeah, Vince, I get the thumbs down. Vince knows that I'm a thumbs down. If you want to get thumbs down your videos, have me on. You're going to get plenty of them. It's all
That's
good.
Right. I was thinking we need some controversy. I'm going to have Mike on.
Winner, sold. Prophet of Doom. You know, I'm just like, West Texas wax. We got another Texan here. Love it.
How is Texas these days? Is it cold? Is it getting cold? Like, do you guys have cold winters? I was in Dallas for the card show 6 months ago, but outside of that, I don't really spend a lot of time in Texas.
It was 80 degrees today here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, we do, but it's very short-lived usually. And we get 1 or 2 snow events / ice events every year. And, yeah. Yo and hello, everybody. Everybody's saying yo and hello.
Yo and hello. That's right.
Gotta have a catchphrase.
Let's start off with just kind of I'm going to do the obligatory tell us how you got into the hobby thing. Although I know a lot of these people already do know. There could be some people that are new here though. So talk to me about just kind of where your journey started. Start from day one and just go through your entire life.
Well, so my mom and dad had a night where they, that was day one. Mom and dad.
Okay, good.
After that, so I was born in 73, so I'm 48, and I started collecting though in 1981, and I can remember buying. That was the first year of Fleer and Donruss, and buying those packs and tops also, and laying them all out on my floor as a kid, and arranging them by team, and then play. I was always so anal about arranging things and collecting, and storing it and all that. But I mean, they went in shoe boxes, it didn't with rubber bands. I didn't care about condition or any of that stuff. And I wanted to collect the Rangers. I am still a Texas Rangers fan, sadly. And been doing it ever since. I never took a break. Like a lot of people took breaks at different times in their lives. I certainly had periods where I've collected less, mainly from a monetary, I didn't have the money, kind of thing, but I always got my Beckett subscription. I always had, local card shops to go to. And so I've always been involved in the hobby to some degree for the last 40 years. So long time.
How did it, I'm just trying to think of like your timeline. Cause I got in about like 87, 88. I was born in 81. So yeah, I was 6, 7, 8 years old when I first started, buying packs and all that stuff. So it was right kind of when that boom happened, like late 80s, early 90s. Did anything change for you there to where because obviously when you were collecting in 81, probably a different environment than what it was in 1990, were you doing any dealing or any buying, selling, or doing any other things? Did it change for you at all during that time?
No. I remember remember I distinctly 89 going to Sam's back in the day, and there were pallets of cards, literally Score and Tops and Donruss, and I would always buy a box. And they were like $8 or $6, whatever they were. And I had so much of that crap, just so much of it. I remember when I moved houses, I threw away, I don't know, 2 or 3 5,000 count boxes of 88 Tops. I had so much. This was 10 or 15 years ago. I just I don't need all this junk, and hence junk wax. But it wasn't coined that yet, 10 years ago. Right. And so, no, I always was a collector. I was always a guy that just bought more. Again, bought significantly less as a young man, a young adult, because I just couldn't afford it. I bought what I could, and I was a player collector for a long time. I started with Darryl Strawberry, was my first player collection in the late 80s. Loved Darryl Strawberry.
He was a beast.
He was. And I'm just like, this guy's awesome. And I would always study the history of the game. And I would read, in fact, it's right here. I've got it. As a kid, I would literally read the baseball encyclopedia. And in here are stats and, on every player that ever played. And then I would read this and memorize who the home run kings were and who the top 10 and this and that. I was just such a nerd about it and loved the history of it. So I always gravitated towards older stuff and learning about it. Could never really, you go to a shop back in the day, remember the 80s and early 90s, you'd see these cards. Like, I can never, $100 for a card. There's no way I can buy a card for $100 or whatever. Wish I would have bought every one of them.
And my parents too were like, why would we spend $100 on one card when I can buy you packs and packs? Like, because it was so available in the late 80s, 90s. It was like, why would we spend $100 on a Michael Jordan rookie card, back then?
Oh, yeah.
That seemed crazy to my parents.
Yeah, it was same to my parent. And we normal middle-class family, but there was never just, $100 bills that I got in, my Christmas stocking or anything. We were just a normal family, and that wasn't on the budget kind of list of things.
Yeah.
Although my parents never discouraged me. They would buy me packs and stuff, and I would buy a box when we'd go to shopping because it wasn't that expensive. But thank you for my Gehrig shirt comment.
Oh yeah, that's sweet.
34 Gowdy. That was made by Vintage. I just went blank on Rick's name. Anyway, Rick made this for me.
Thank you, Rick. And
gave it to me at the National. So yeah, it was just one of those times you bought what you could. And I see why kids today like the new, we can relate to that.
Oh yeah.
Packs are a lot more expensive, right? And there's a lot more. There used to be just a few products. Even during the junk wax era, there was still none of it was super high priced. You had Stadium Club or you had Upper Deck. I remember Upper Deck was $1 a pack in '89. It's like, oh my gosh, $1 a pack. Vintage All Ball cards. Thank you, Rick, for that. That's who Rick is. Anyway, that. Just a different time, but similar in mindset for these kids. They want to collect players they see on television. They want to, and I get that. I just don't know how a kid can collect today, given, and I'm not talking about a teenager that we see at these shows and carrying Pelican cases and all that stuff. I'm talking about 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids. It's got to be tough, I guess. So,
yeah, I guess. Well, on the one hand, yeah, absolutely. Buying packs and boxes. Although I will say that the singles market is a lot better now than it was back then. I mean, I remember distinctly buying like an 89 score Bubby Brister. I don't even think that was Bubby Brister's rookie card. And it was like $3 or $4, but the thing is I could only buy singles from the card shop or, the kiosk in the mall. And they were obviously trying to make a profit. We didn't have any sort of, price, way to really gauge prices outside of Beckett. At least now, I mean, a kid can go to a card show or go to or go on eBay with, the parents can help them. Of course, like, oops, my son accidentally bid on this card thing, that we always see. But now, and then you look at like 2020 select product where they've made 1,000 parallels of everything to where everything's going to be $1. Like all that stuff will probably be in the dollar bin at some point. But I think the singles market is definitely better than, now than it was back then.
100% agree with that.
But you're right, though. I mean, as far as like retail and hobby boxes, forget it. I mean, that's not
the availability of singles is on a whole nother level than when it was when we were, like you said, you could only get it from a couple of places, and that was that, and good luck, finding it and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely a huge difference. We got a great question there from
where do you see it?
Straight Execution. I think that's how you say that.
Okay. Yeah, here we go. As someone who is buying more and more vintage on a budget, would you recommend buying more low grade slabs or save to get the better grade 6 or 7 for investment purposes? This is an excellent question. Actually, probably a great question for Mike, because I also struggle with this same exact thing. Buying, 2s and 3s of something, or just saving and maybe getting a higher grade. It probably depends on the situation, but what are your thoughts, Mike, on that?
There's so many thoughts on that. You can see totally both sides of that argument. I mean, you can make an argument for either way, and I don't know that there's a wrong way to do it. My way of doing it is I want a quantity of quality, and the way I do that is I target a certain card, and I think, okay, how much? Yeah, New York, he says it. And I'd rather have 10 $500 cards than 1 5. That's a great kind of just synopsis. And so it does go case by case. I mean, if you think about, I've got some cards here just to show you an example of that. I recently bought, if I can find it, too many slabs, too little time. Where is it? Too many cards. I bought this Ruth 48 leaf in a PSA 1.
That's sweet.
For example, it's a 1.
Yeah.
Would I rather have this card in a 3 or 4 or 5, 6? Of course. But there's only, you got to go, all right, is it worth the exponential difference per numerical grade than the fact that I just want to have the card in my collection? That's certainly part of it. I bought at the last Dallas show a 54 Bowman Ted Williams in a 1.5, but it's the prettiest 1.5 you'll ever see. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, so, that is a good looking one. Why is it? Can you see why it is? Or
I can. I'll take it out of
because it does look really nice.
I mean, it's very pretty, beautifully centered. They're up here. It's like somebody put a paper clip on it.
Oh, okay.
So it's got a little indentation here that's to the like you really have to angle it right in the light and really try to find it. But at arm's length, just look at it. Think about vintage this way. Hold it at arm's length. How does the card look? That's all you should care about. That's quote unquote that's to me what eye appeal is. If I can just hold it and look at it, and if I hold this and look at it, and I cover this up, is that a beautiful card? Yes, great. Oh, they said it's a 1.5. Who cares? That just means I get to buy it much, much cheaper than if this card was graded a 6.5 or whatever.
Right. I'm exactly the same as you guys on this. I mean, I am kind of the king of like $100 to $500 stuff. And there's a lot of people that do say, hey, bud, like, why don't you just do exactly this? Just buy the 1.5. Like I've been buying, for example, over the last 6 to 9 months, quite a bit of like the Tom Brady insert parallel stuff. And it could be like, an example would just be like 2014 Prism Blue PSA 9 or whatever. Let's just throw that out. It's $300. But I think the collector side of me likes having 10 Tom Brady cards as opposed to having like one $5,000 Bowman Chrome, maybe in a PSA 8. But from an investment standpoint, maybe I should be getting the Bowman Chrome 8. I'm not really sure. I mean, part of me is kind of like, I'd almost rather spread it out over those cards to where maybe, I get like little gains over time on those instead of putting all my eggs in the bigger basket. But, it's to each their own, I think, with that.
Yeah. And you have to think, what's your intent? Are you intent? And Dr. Beckett said this when he was here. Some people had mentioned the Dr. Beckett interview that I got to do. He came over to the card room and.
Oh, I saw that. That was cool.
It was fantastic. I mean, obviously you have a legend, there's nothing I have that he hasn't seen a million times, but that wasn't the point. We got to talk cards. And one thing he said is, are you trying to build a great collection, right? And if that's your goal, if your goal is to make money and flip cards, that's fine, but if your goal is to build a great collection, look for nice eye appeal cards, lower grades. You're gonna be able to spread your hobby dollars out more and get more stuff. What's up, Andy?
Hey, Andy.
So it's like you said, Dustin, to each their own. I'm telling you how I do it. I've done it this way for a long, long time, and I have amassed a collection I'm incredibly proud of. Some people might disagree, but whatever.
On that note, I believe you have kids. I think I heard you say that you've got kids in college and you've got kids. Are they interested in any of that stuff, or how have you been able to do it with any of them?
My son's into Pokemon. In fact, I bought him a Pokemon box at the last Dallas show and we opened it on my channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he likes that kind of stuff and that's fine. I think they think it's cool, but in terms of being in the hobby or really liking it, they love sports. Both of them love sports. Later they will start appreciating it down the road, I think, but who knows? I mean, they'll get to inherit this someday,
Yeah, man, that's sweet.
Not a bad, not a bad card. So this is my collection is full of these. I have a Koufax rookie and a 3. It's great. That's fine. I just want to own the card. Somebody's mentioned owner. I just want to have one. And here's a tip. Buy the best grade you can afford, given the amount of money you want to spend on that card, if that makes sense. And especially when you get into low and mid grades, Dustin, on the vintage baseball side, and this is true of any vintage, not just baseball, but that's my milieu of cards is baseball. So you can, not all 4s are created equal, not all 5s, not all 3s, right? So I literally at the National in 18, I walked around with Eric, those back pages, the cardboard oracle himself, and we must have looked at 150 Hank Aaron rookies. And I passed on higher graded Aaron rookies to buy this 3 because to me it had the best eye appeal, the best bang for the buck, if that makes sense. And so I paid $1,000 for this card, and I paid up for a 3 price to buy a really nice 3 versus paying $1,200 for a 4 that was miscut and all the thing. You know what I mean? It's just try to. There's a balance there, and you have to strike that and kind of go, all right, what's the most I want to. What's my range I want to spend on a card? Try to find the best looking card in kind of the grade range you're looking for, which sounds incredibly simplistic, but it's not.
No, that makes sense. One question I had for you too is, do you look for, like, for example, for like the Hank Aaron or the Koufax rookie, is it just that you wanted to have one and you found kind of one, you can check that off the list? Or from just like a value standpoint, if you saw another 3 at that price point that you really liked, would you kind of stack those? Like, would you have 7 or 8 of them if you felt like they were a good value? Or is it like not really, or does that not really make sense? You'd get other things.
Not for me. I think Koufax's rookie is incredibly undervalued, even in this market, even in this card market. He's older. Him and Mays are 2 guys that you should be, if you want to accumulate vintage players, they're still alive. That's the key. And so the thing with that is I would rather spend whatever dollars I would spend on multiple Koufax rookies on things I don't have yet. Period. Okay. Paragraph. In fact, I sell cards when I accidentally buy something I already have. Like, oh crap, I already had that. And so I'll sell it. I'll turn it around.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, question 2. I know that you're an autograph collector. When you were a kid, I used to, when I was a kid, at the back of the Beckett, they would have the team addresses, and and I think there's actually instructions there. You could write for autographs, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to the address. And I did that as a kid all the time. And I remember just going to the mailbox and being so thrilled to see my handwriting, because that means that it was a self-addressed stamped envelope. Did you do any of that stuff when you were a kid?
I didn't do the TTM thing, although I've been doing it more lately just because it's kind of fun, and this hobby's supposed to be fun. Like at the end of the day, you better be having fun. If it just becomes a drag, what the heck, So there's like an autograph. There's Cy Young. You might have heard of him. He has
Oh,
an award
man.
named after him.
That's cool.
Here's a Jackie.
Wow.
This guy, he was pretty good. Babe Ruth.
No, little Babe Ruth. Little Babe Ruth.
He's all
How
right.
long ago did you pick those up? A while ago, or is that?
Yeah. The Jackie I bought at the 14 National in Cleveland. The Cy Young I bought relatively recently. It was expensive. The Ruth I bought, it was full letter PSA, wasn't slabbed. I think I paid $3,200, $3,300 for it. And I like, this looks really sharp. I'm going to send it in to get slabbed to protect it.
Yeah.
Because it was just literally this cut, by itself. And B, get the autograph graded. Because that can matter in the autograph world. That matters a lot for some of the tougher vintage guys. It doesn't matter for like Fergie Jenkins or Gaylord Perry, but it matters a lot for Ruth or whoever. And this one came back a Gem Mint 10. Oh,
wow.
So that's a huge, that was worth whatever. I can't remember what I spent to get the autograph graded, but it's actually a couple $100, believe it or not. But even back then, and I've had that 4 or 5 years, I think. I have a video on my channel when I bought it, but I don't remember how long ago that was.
Now and I was actually looking into it because I bought I wish I had pulled it out ahead of time, but I think it's a 2001 Fleer Showcase. Maybe it's one of those inserts where it's like, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like cigars and bats or something, but it's a Willie Mays auto. And Willie Mays autos I can find occasionally, but like I was actually looking for Mickey Mantle autos from like pack pulled type stuff. And I just didn't see it. Like, and I don't know if that even exists. Like, for his stuff, you have to go, there's some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I was looking for something like that and I just couldn't find it.
Look at Score the Franchise. There's a set that they did. Franchise. Take a note. Score Franchise. A few Score sets, 91, 92, 93 even maybe. I bet if New York Yanks fan 7's here, he'll be able to spout those off at the end of it. Drew Larson says, I won $1,020 cards at the end of it all. That was the weird idea I had. And I have a lot of $20 bills, a lot of $50 bills behind me in the Beast. I mean, I really I have a lot of that stuff and like a ton of that. And so, sorry, I'm trying to answer we got some really good questions coming in. So
yeah, call them out as you see them.
Ryan McClanahan. Hi, Mike. What was your first vintage card? So I collected in 81. You could say pre-80 is vintage. So I had a lot of that stuff just because I would get it kind of from shops or whatever. But I don't know that what I consider vintage. I bought a 1960 Topps Carl Yastrzemski rookie from a neighbor down the street. And I remember just being there's Rick. He's so right by Mays Autos. And I remember buying that card and being so proud of it. I actually slabbed it not a number of years ago just to protect it. And I still have it. And I did on that instance, Dustin, buy another, because it came back a 3. I bought a 6 just to have that in my long-term, they're both in my forever collections, but just to upgrade that particular rookie card, I wanted to do that. And his stuff was super cheap. And I think Yastrzemski's way undervalued too, but what do I know? Let's see. Can't wait for the night, of course. Mike, you wearing the SGC hat after the PSA news? No, I'm just
bringing the controversy. He's always coming with it.
I am not an SGC guy in terms of what I grade, but I do love Peter and the way they do business. I think they're great. So
what's your take on this from Ryan here? Was it easier purchasing vintage in the 90s to mid 2000s than it is now? I wasn't purchasing it back then, but Mike was.
I was, but I was buying a lot of raw. There wasn't, grading like it is now. Yeah. And I would say that easier. Yeah. I mean, because there was eBay then, eBay started in the late 90s and I've been an eBay member since 1998. So that's a long freaking time. But easier, yeah, but it's not like, it was still expensive, relatively speaking,
Raw and cut cards. I don't know if you're asking my favorite complete set that I own, or just my own, like the vintage set, my favorite vintage set. For stuff that I own, I don't have any old complete sets. I mean, I bought a complete set of 86 Topps football with the Jerry Rice rookie in it just a couple of months ago. There was actually a guy with a binder in a card shop in Florida randomly. I think he had bought collections because it wasn't a card shop where they had hobby boxes and different things. It was like a guy that had just thrown all of his cards into a room, into, like a shopping mall type thing. But he had binders of sets. And so I did buy a complete set of 86 Topps football for $100. I know that's not really true vintage. But I really like, as far as what sets I like, I mean, I like the 55 Bowman baseball. I still want to get some of that stuff. I like the TV, kind of the wood border. I like 72 Topps football and basketball. I like a lot of it, honestly. I like 61 Fleer basketball. I'm trying to get into some of that stuff. A lot of it for me, the struggle has been that I got back into the hobby first half of 2018. I was also collecting comic books at the time too. I was getting back to kind of all of it. And so I did buy some things, but I was kind of going back and forth between the two. And then 2019 really went heavy into sports cards. But then the problem is then it got real expensive after that. Then like pricing really went up. So for a lot of the stuff, I'm now kind of, trying to figure out what point, like which places do I want to put resources, and going from there. So I'm just kind of picking my spots as I go through this journey.
Very smart.
What about you, Mike? Do you have a favorite vintage set? I mean, I'm sure you like a lot of sets, but
I do. My favorite vintage set's probably 1960 Topps. I just love it. I wish it wasn't horizontal, but what are you going to do? I don't think they could have made the set as beautiful any other way if they made it traditional. I'm a big fan of 51 Bowman. There's the Mays rookie.
Nice. Yep.
It's only a 2, I mean, again, buy what you can, it's like putting a puzzle together, right? You got this many pieces you want in the puzzle. You got to figure out how to get them all in there. Michael Ham's asking a great question.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with this.
Was it 820? He said, okay. Mike, does grading company matter when talking about the 3 main companies? It all depends on what you're trying to do. There are collectors out there like myself who, for me, I bought the Williams this is the first SGC card I ever bought, and I just bought it the last Dallas show. And it was too good of a deal to pass up, too beautiful of a card. Would I cross this over? Yeah. If I didn't have to pay an arm and a leg to do it, yes. Also, but I would tell you, for me, I want everything the same. It's just collector it's just a me thing that I just want everything to be in the same holder. And PSA has been around the longest. It wasn't I didn't think about value. That wasn't a determining factor. The registries were certainly a determining factor. I like the registries. I'm addicted. It's an addiction, no doubt. It's like crack cocaine for collectors. And so those types of things made me gravitate towards PSA. I have nothing against SGC. I love the HGA flips. I love the way the cards look. I have a couple of those. I like them. So I'm not a Beckett fan. I don't like the slab. It's too thick for me. That's what my wife says. But sorry, that was too easy. That was teed up to myself.
You teed it up yourself.
But I don't like the way the slab. I like the PSA slab. It's sleek and simple, and so I just that's where I said, all right, and now what I crossed it. I was teasing Peter Stein, who's the president of SGC, when I did an interview with him, and I said off the air, I'm like, hey, you want to just read? I'll cross over every card I have if you'll do it for free, And he of course laughed and told me to jump off a cliff, but I just want everything to be the same, right? It just happened to be PSA. And they happen to be the market leader, obviously, and their values are higher. But if you're in for value, it does matter, especially pre-war. It doesn't matter as much. In fact, SGC, you could argue, is better for pre-war stuff, but traditional vintage, what I call the golden age of sports cards, 50s, late 40s, 50s, and 60s, PSA and SGC are probably equal in eyes of collectors, but you're just going to get more value out of PSA, period, paragraph. I didn't make the rules. That's just what they are. You know, I have no influence on that, but
yeah.
Okay. What
Dex,
else?
I do have interest in this card. I am looking for it. It is going to depend on the price point. I'm in the high 4s on this card, but that might be a little bit on the low end for you, but reach out to me. You know how to find, you know where to find me, but yes, I'm interested in that card. Mike, do you collect 80s Tiffany cards?
I wouldn't say I collect them. I have some. I don't have any of the complete sets, which if I found an 87 or 86 or not, they started in 87. If I had an 86 Topps Tiffany set, I'd buy it if I could find one at a reasonable price. I think they're very cool.
What's your overall thought on Barry Bonds? Because I mean, like, he's a monster in baseball. I mean, you know, obviously the PED stuff, but it's just hard to deny the statistics. It's hard to deny I mean, like, he was a good baseball player. I mean, like, before all the PED stuff, and I know you're a baseball guy. I'm not a baseball guy, so I'm kind of speaking out of turn here. But as far as his cards go, have you collected his stuff? Do you have interest in his stuff? Do you think down the road, you know, that people are going to be forgiving of that sort of thing? Or what are your thoughts on Bonds?
Time tends to heal all wounds, although this wound was pretty deep, the PED thing. I think it's going to take a little time. I don't think newer kids care that much. Barry Bonds, hands down, is the best baseball player I have ever seen play in my life. It's not even close. It's Barry Bonds. Next would be probably Ken Griffey Jr. in terms of just overall talent and wow. And I'd put McGuire up there. McGuire, I remember literally stopping to watch McGuire hit, like, in 98. Like, stopping what I was doing, McGuire's up, watch him, see if he hits a home run. Guys like that today, obviously Trout's the guy, you know, I mean, he's the best player in baseball, hands down. Everybody should have one of these, the PSA 10 Trout Rookie.
Nice.
If you can get one. I have a total of about $150 into this card. That's ridiculous.
I was going to say, yeah, you were probably in on that. If you were in on it early, then you probably got it cheap.
I got it at the 2019 National.
Wow, that's not that. I actually thought it would be a lot more. So I mean, it's gone up dramatically.
Well, I have 150 into it because I was rummaging in my closet and I found a whole stack of 2011 update that I had bought 10 years ago, and sure enough, I had a Trout Rookie in there.
Oh,
so
okay.
I also had somebody else give me another raw one. I graded those two. I got a 9 and a 6. And I traded those two and $50 for a 10 at the National. And I did pretty good on that deal. So
wow,
it cost me some grading fees, and that's about it. So
I picked up the 80s reference here, JJ Bama. I think we're alone now. Great song. That was a great skating rink song.
That was Tiffany. Yeah, I think we're alone. Let's see. Where did you grow up and what team did you follow? I grew up in Texas. I still live in Texas, and I'm a Rangers fan. I'm a Cowboys fan and a Mavericks fan. So,
are you collecting T206 commons or T209?
I have very few of those. I love them. That is a Pandora's box that I have decided consciously not to open because it would be a rabbit hole that I would never get out of. And I love the cards. I want a few key cards from those sets. A Cy Young. I want a Cobb portrait, but everybody wants those. Like, that's why they're so bloody expensive, because everybody wants the same cards. And those someday I would like to add those, but those are not priorities for me for sure.
How many cards are in those sets? Are they huge?
The T206, if you include all the variations, it's over 500 cards.
Oh, wow.
In the T206 set, which is a lot because they have, multiple cards of the same player and different poses and whatnot. Gosh, so much.
Who is this BenchClear Media troll? Mike, really personal question here. Who's your favorite weekly co-host? It's toss up.
That would have to be Tyson Banker, not Ty Wilson, but no. Yeah, Ty.
If you want Brad, I'll take Mike. We'll do a little switch.
Yeah, he can go on the fly and do that with him. No, Ty and I have a great relationship. We've become we didn't know each other prior to BenchClear.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how did you meet? Like, how did you meet? And was it through YouTube or card shows, or how did you meet?
So Jeff Pack Geek used to be, or he's still Pack Geek. He just doesn't do a lot of content anymore. But Jeff knew me and Jeff knew Ty. So Jeff brought the three of us together and we formed BenchClear as a way to try to create a hobby network, so to speak. And what we've learned, that's been an experiment, a year and a half in the making, still going on strong. And we have a lot of great things that have come from that. And the idea was 3 heads are better than one. Let's put our collective experience. And Ty was big in the breaking world and been doing this a long time, had a lot of technological savvy and things. And I was just a dude showing cards, and we didn't know each other. We met on our first kind of team meeting or whatever. Hey, what do you think about this idea? And I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
I'd done Baseball Collector for so long. So I stopped making content on Baseball Collector for a long time, for a year. I'm now running dual duty, putting stuff on. I said duty. Putting stuff on Baseball Collector and doing stuff with Ty and other things with BenchClear. And now we have Matt Coleman on the team who does the pull series. We have Tyson doing a football podcast / video show. So it's kind of become what we expected. What it really is the best thing about BenchClear Media is getting to know Ty Wilson and becoming good friends with him. We talk all the time privately, and we're very common-minded about a lot of things. We both love, he's taught me a lot about the hobby, about things that he's really good at. I've taught him some things, I think, about the hobby that I'm good at. And that's been a great compliment to each other. And he's just, for people that don't know Ty, he's a great dude. At the end of the day, that's true probably of so many people. And Dustin, since you're newer to the hobby and you went to your first national and all these things, you got to meet so many people. Yeah. I bet you could even say that that's a pretty common experience for most people. People in the hobby are pretty great. At the end of the day, you don't find a lot of douchebags. They're mostly great guys. And
that's really, and we've talked about it. I mean, that's really kind of an underrated part of all of this. There's a lot of, it's like either people are collecting, they're investing, or they're somewhere in between. But really, if you kind of dig deep and get to know people, and there's a lot of like-minded people, that you build really good community here. And a lot of people kind of they really underestimate the community part, or they just don't take advantage of that enough. I think really kind of, reach out to people, put yourself out there a little bit, and you will meet a lot of great people. And I certainly have. That's been the best part of this whole YouTube thing, is just meeting meeting a bunch of other like-minded people. It's great.
Yeah, who doesn't like to talk about cards? And when you go to the National, it's just one big family reunion, right? I mean, now that you've gone and you're starting to make a lot more connections, next year it's going to be even a more awesome experience that way for you. And it just keeps growing and growing year after year. Especially, I've found that to be true, and that's the best part about it. So,
what's your take on, speaking of the National? Quickly, we'll go off on that little tangent.
Yeah.
Have you? I assume you've been to one in Atlantic City.
I have not, actually. I skipped that one.
How often do they do the Atlantic City ones?
It used to be every 4 years.
Oh, okay.
When Cleveland was in the rotation, because it would be Chicago, Cleveland, Chicago, AC, Chicago, Cleveland, Chicago, AC. So every 4 years. This is only the second time. This will be only the second time they've had it in AC.
Interesting. Okay. I was thinking they were doing it it was like Chicago and Atlantic City, and they went back and forth. So that's okay. That's interesting. Because I mean, I've heard it's not easy to get to. It's, logistically, it's not as easy as it is in Chicago.
Chicago, hands down, is the best place to have the National.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate for a National being Atlanta, Dallas, Denver.
Yeah.
Spread it out. Their argument is, and I've talked to the National people, I've had them on my show and interviewed them and talked to them on Golden Age of Cardboard, and they don't want to do it. It's really that simple. They'll give you a lot of reasons why, but the ultimate reason is they just don't want to have to deal with contracts and people and logistics and all of that stuff. They've got Chicago that works really well, and they have, they may be going back to Cleveland. We'll see. The IX Center has reopened. So that might get back in the rotation. Cleveland's hard because the IX Center is so far away from the hotels. Nothing's right there. Like Chicago, everything's right there.
Yeah.
AC, once you're there, everything's great.
Yeah.
But it's getting there, right?
I felt like it was kind of like that when we went to the Dallas show, because I didn't realize that it was like 40 minutes from the airport. But once you did get there, yeah, there was restaurants and all sorts of things kind of in that area. But yeah, how long have you been going to that Dallas show? Is that that's a fairly new show, isn't it? For being that big anyway?
Yeah, I went to the first one. It was mid-19, not that long ago.
Okay.
I started doing it. I think what made the Dallas show what the Dallas show has become across the hobby is that it reopened first. It was the first big show in the or during COVID.
Yeah.
/ huge upsurge in the hobby. And Kyle hit the lottery really with it, and it blew up so fast and became nationally known. You've been to yourself. It is like the last one I just went to. I thought it was going to be a lot less populated, or attendance wise and dealers, because so many more shows are now starting to open across the country. Well, maybe Dallas will start losing some of its luster. It'll start, kind of just becoming a normal show, which would be fine as well. Nope, it was packed. I mean, I couldn't believe how many people flew in still to come to the Dallas show. You saw it when you were there. It's way more skewed towards modern because it's a newer show. You have newer dealers. You don't have guys that have been dealers for 30 years going to the same show and having their stuff, right? So you have newer dealers that are more geared towards modern stuff. So it's way more tilted towards the modern side, which isn't bad. It's just that's the nature of it, versus the national, when it's about at least 50-50, if not skewed 55 or 60% towards the vintage side at the national, for that very reason, that you have all these guys that have been there forever and they give first dibs. Did you notice at Chicago when you would walk towards the red carpet area towards the back past all the corporate sponsors, you saw a lot more modern stuff because that's the new areas they've opened to new dealers.
Oh,
so
okay.
If that makes sense. Like, oh, there's a lot more modern stuff back here in this area. Well, that's because it's people that haven't been going to the national their entire life.
That's another thing that's kind of like messes with your mind at the national. Is I remember talking to dealers that said that they only sell at the national every year, and then maybe like locally some stuff wherever they're from. But that's where you see a lot of cards come out of the woodwork, where you're not going to see them on eBay. A lot of it's like some vintage stuff, or it might be inserts, rare inserts that you just don't see very much. That's another thing that kind of messes with you. You can go in with a plan at the national, but then it gets all screwy, when you see a bunch of cards that you're like, oh, I didn't know I was going to see that. It's
my advice for the national is don't go in with a plan. Don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Have a budget. This is the money I'm going to spend, and go in with an open mind, because I promise you're going to see something you didn't expect to see that you're going to want to buy. And if you're kind of stuck mentally on, well, no, I came to buy this card.
Yeah.
You may miss an opportunity to buy something you won't see anywhere else. Especially if the card you're targeting is something relatively common. If it's a 89 upper deck Griffey, don't buy that at the national. Buy that anywhere else. Go buy something.
This is it's a valid question.
My cards are probably only worth what the Texas Rangers are worth. And yes, I would consider selling my collection to buy the rent. No, it's not worth that much money, but certainly couldn't buy the Yankees.
This is a good one. Will pitching get more attention? I assume. Okay, assuming he's talking about pitchers, cards of pitchers.
Yeah, or vintage pitchers, especially. You'll have more appreciation for the guys that could pitch more than 3 innings and not get pulled. Well, I think there's going to be a lowering of standards for what a great pitcher is today versus, I can name literally off the top of my head 5 pitchers that are Hall of Famers right now if they left: Kershaw, Scherzer, Verlander, Greinke. Sabathia is going to get in. There's one other I'm missing of the current pitchers, but they're not going to have anywhere near the career numbers of Warren Spahn or Nolan Ryan or
Nolan Ryan is a freak,
or Steve Carlton or any of these guys. That's just it. You're gonna have to shift your expectations of what makes a great pitcher, and so I think that will shift over time. Rick,
I have a question for you. I just thought of this, just popped into my head.
Go ahead.
Ken Golden is going to be on Netflix with a sports card show of some kind. What is something that you want to see? Because I was thinking, like, I watch Pawn Stars, and I have never, I don't remember the last time I've been to a pawn shop, but I find that entertaining. Like, what would you like to see out of that show that you think could, either draw in more of the mainstream, or just that would be entertaining for you to see, whether it be like behind the scenes stuff or whatever?
Well, I flew out to do 4 episodes of that show with Ken. No, just kidding.
Did you? Oh, okay. I was like, that'd be cool. Some insider information.
That would be cool. No, the reason that's never taken off is you got to have the right personality. What makes Pawn Stars great? Yeah, it's cool stuff. What makes American Pickers great? I watch that show. I love watching, Mr. Wolf go out and find stuff and the stories he tells about it and the connections he made. The stuff is cool. Cards are cool. You have to bring that electricity and that excitement and have that charisma to make someone who doesn't care about cards get it. Yeah. And that's not everybody can do that. And that's why it's never worked, because they haven't had the right person to do it that knew enough. Like Mike Wolf on American Pickers knows his stuff, and he's very entertaining and he's funny and he's, cracking jokes and all that. That's a rare combination of personality. And I just don't think we've hit on that. I don't know that Ken can pull that off. It'll be interesting too to see who else they draw in. I assume there's going to be supporting cast and other people that they draw in for that. And that'll be kind of fun to see how that all, pans out. Or if it's going to be more of like a Golden Auctions focused, kind of a Ken Golden focused show, that'll be kind of interesting to see how they do it. Bradley Helston asks, why not Las Vegas for the National? Because I would spend half my time at the poker table, and they don't, and so would everybody else. And they want all the money to come to cards and not to be diverted to gambling. But then you go, well, then why AC? Because it's the same problem, right? I just think, it's I think Las Vegas has too many distractions. Let's just put it that way.
Agreed. It's a great convention center place, but there's plenty of places in the US that are good spots for a big card show. I don't know. So Hockey 99 has this question, and I just don't know the answer to it. So I don't know if you know what he means.
Well, I don't know what he means by pedigree. There's 3 variations of the Randy Johnson 89 Fleer has a Marlboro sign in the background of it, and you can buy it where it shows the Marlboro sign. Then they said, oh, that's a bad message for kids, so they pulled the card and blacked out the sign or script. There's multiple versions of how they got rid of the Marlboro sign in the background. I don't know if that's what he's talking about, but that's all I can think of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you Hockey 99, if you can just elaborate a little bit more on that, we will try to. Well, no, we won't. Mike will try to answer that.
DeGrom. Thank you, Joseph. That's the other pitcher I was thinking of. Once DeGrom hits 10 years, he's getting in.
Yeah, I know a little bit about some things. I'm not just tied down to 2 sports. Yeah, Ken Golden and Don West. I saw a video it was on IG, I think, where someone put up like a clip of Ken Golden calling in to Don West show in like 89 or something. It was kind of funny. They're pitch men. They're hype men. That's what they do. Don West was a machine on that show back in the day.
I used to watch. I literally just would sit there and watch it. I could never buy anything because I thought
I couldn't either.
Silly, but I loved watching it.
Same. I thought it was so cool. And I remember thinking too, like, these people are getting like these amazing cards. I was probably 10 or something.
Why don't you answer Tommy Marshall's question from 8:48 p.m.
Okay. What's your favorite card in your collection? Doesn't need to be the most valuable one. This is going to be like the lame collector answer to this is going to be there's so many. I picked up an autogram rookie a couple of weeks ago. I really like a lot of my older vintage football stuff. I'm yet to have a vintage baseball card. I told Mike I went to the National with a focus on, okay, I'm going to get a vintage baseball card here. I ended up buying a Johnny Unitas rookie card. That's another one that I really like. But
not a bad one, by the way.
yeah,
What's
football
that?
cards are my first love.
55 tops is Unitas'
Did I put it away? I think it's 57 tops.
Maybe 50. You're right. You're right. 57. You're right.
But yeah, my first love was football cards, 89 Pro Set, 89 Score. It was the Barry Sanders, Troy Aikman, Deion Sanders time. So I think, and the other part of it, again, with prices going up, football cards are behind basketball and baseball on that. They have gone up. The prices are higher than they were, but they still lag behind baseball and basketball. So for me, it's kind of like first love plus, the pricing is just about right for where I'm looking. So I've been getting kind of those. I've got a Jim Brown rookie, I've got a Johnny Unitas rookie, and I've got an autogram rookie. I'd like to add a Joe Namath rookie at some point, but that one has gotten very expensive. So we'll wait and see on that. But yeah, for me, I think right now I've got a lot of stuff I like, but those are the ones that are probably front and center right now. How about you, Mike?
There is no way I can possibly answer this question.
Yeah.
What's funny is I could probably tell you,
or like 5 to 10 cards you just love that you could just name off. Like I looked at this the other day and it was rocking. Love it.
I love that one. The Clemente rookie, 55.
Oh yeah.
But awesome. I can tell you each of these cards it's a card and it's cool. I can tell you who I was with, where I bought it, what I paid for it, the story behind it, how I decided on this one. My Maze rookie, Andrew, Enough Said Cards, was with me, and he's the cardboard whisperer, by the way. So if you need somebody to come and tell you you're making a good deal, it's that. And I remember sitting there going through it. If I had to pick a favorite, if I had to pick one.
Do you have a 51 Bowman mantle?
Yeah, that's what I showed earlier. Yes, I do. The PSA, it's a PSA 5.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The 52 Bowman. Yeah, the 51 Bowman's great.
I do not have the 52 Bowman mantle, actually.
Okay.
But if I had to pick a favorite, it would be the 33 Gaudy Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig's my favorite player of all time.
Okay.
And that's just a classic image. Beautiful card. Only a 2. Don't care. This was the first big, like when I bought this card at the time, it was easily the most I'd ever paid for a card by 10 times. And then, yeah, life changed, but that was a lot of money for me at the time, 8 or 9 years ago when I bought this. And so glad I did, because now I couldn't afford it. But
oh yeah,
I love that card. Beautiful image. So he's actually got 2 cards in that set that look the same, different card numbers.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. And Ruth has 4 cards in that set, of which I have 0 of those. So
how often do you see those when you're now at the National? I mean, even, okay, let's just use the National, like the mecca of cards. How often do you run into, even in low grade, do you see them? Are they there, or are they still not very common to even see at a place like that?
Like the Gehrig, for example?
Yeah.
There might be 10 or 12 on the floor total.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
When I went to the Dallas show, there were 2 of these in the whole room, and me and a buddy each bought. They were both PSA 1s, and we each bought, because we're like, we don't ever see this card. It shows like this. But Aaron rookies, there will be 100, 150, but you get to the old stuff, it's more rare.
I'm going to shift gears on you real quick now, because I know that you also collect Amazing Spider-Man comics.
I do. They're all
so
in
how far are you into that? I think I heard you say that you're trying to collect the set. Is that
the
right?
Whole run.
How far into it are you?
I have 94% complete.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I need like 30. No, I need 40 like 45 issues to have every one of them.
Dang, that's impressive.
Most of them
is it raw / or graded or
either one? Most of mine are raw. I'm buying everything that I can sub 100 graded just to have peace of mind about it and keep them protected. And really mid, 4s and 4.5s and 5s, 5.5s are fine. Like I don't need a 9.6.
Yeah. Do you have the first one? Do you have number 1?
Nope.
Yeah. It'll probably be the last one.
That'll be the last one of those, if ever. The last, like I'm doing a run of trying to get every Topps card that pictures a Hall of Famer and Bowman card from 1950 to 1989. And the last card I will likely get is the 52 Topps mantle, just because of the price. There's so many other cards I can buy. So
plus that would make for kind of a climactic finish.
It would.
And that'd be cool. That'd actually make the story even cooler.
It would, and it'll take me a long time to get the money. Tommy Marshall, do you have a Jackie Robinson? Which one? I have I literally, here's a 56 and a 5. I've got a 54 right here. And
I love the 54.
4.5. A few more. I just have cards all over right now. There's a Satch.
Yeah.
First and only Topps card of Satchel Paige. Oh, speaking of 53, here's a 53 Jackie and a 4.
Classic.
So yes, I have a few Jackies.
All right. So being a big Topps guy, and we're not going to get into all the fanatics talk, but let's say Topps goes unlicensed, kind of goes the Leaf Panini baseball route. They're not licensed. Are you still buying them? Being a Topps, you've been buying Topps forever. Would you still buy them, an unlicensed Topps product, if they just kind of kept it going?
Maybe. See how they look. I mean, I have much less problem with the whole no logos things than a lot of people do. Some people can't stand it and just refuse to buy those cards. I find some cards that are pretty cool looking that have no logos. Obviously, we all prefer logos, but I'm taking a very wait and see attitude about all of this. Let's just see what happens. I mean, it's hard to get your panties in a wad when you don't even know. What if Fanatics makes a great card? What if they buy Topps? What if there's so many what ifs that can happen in the next couple of years while this is all getting ironed out?
Yeah.
To speculate on it and to worry about it is just a fool's errand, because you're going to end up just chasing your tail and not knowing what the heck's going to happen. And you're probably going to be wrong, honestly. Whatever we think might happen, it'll probably be something very different. Oh, never thought about that happening, and here we are, So why get worked up on it? I'm open-minded. To answer your question more directly, I'll certainly be open-minded to it.
Yeah, I agree. I like, not that I own, actually, I just bought a National Treasures Lou Brock auto.
Yeah.
For like $50. And the reason why I got it is because he inscribed the franchise on it. I'm like, damn, that's a cool card.
Yeah.
But it's, it's Panini, but I don't care. I mean, it's just a cool looking card.
And Panini on like older players, when logos weren't really a thing anyway, really, like if you buy old vintage baseball players on new Panini cards, it looks fine because they didn't have logos anyway. Got some more questions I liked here. Let's see. Do I think modern cards are overpriced? Well, let me tell you my thought on that. I'll summarize it in about 2 seconds. When this card costs the same as this card, that's a problem to me. When I can buy a Mike, whichever hand Mike Trout is in, this one, for the same price I can get a Lou Gehrig, that seems dysfunctional to me. That seems out of whack.
Yeah.
And there's no solution for it, by the way. It's not even a complaint because you can't change it.
Yeah.
It's the way it is. So do I think they are? Yes. Relative to what they are, how many of them there are out there. There's manufactured scarcity versus real scarcity. I promise you there are so many more multiples of this card out there than there are of this card. And they're the same price. Makes no sense. So
yeah, that's wild.
Well, God, everybody's complaining about my hat. Let's just fix that problem right now. There you go. PSA. All right.
All right. He's back on the PSA train. He's back.
I think there was another one I saw. Y'all are asking great questions, by the way.
Yeah, I think too that with modern, the stakes are so much higher now because you've got like that's just one example of a base rookie card of Mike Trout. Now you've got $50,000 Zion cards, you know, and $50,000 will buy you a really nice vintage card. I mean, you've got like tons of options there. You know, I mean, that's the part where you're like scratching your head a little bit.
For sure. Where did I get these card frames? These things are just they're little leather holders from this is not a paid promotion, but
yeah,
cardcasepro.com. I think they're about $3. Like you get 25 for like $75, which sounds expensive, but I only put comma cards in there. A comma card is anything worth over $1,000. So to me, to spend $3 for $1,000 card plus is not a bad.
Yeah, for the big stuff, that makes sense.
For the big stuff. I don't have it on. Now I have every slab, which is close to 5,000 of them are in perfect fit sleeves or superior fit sleeves. Every one of them. And then I put them in here. I only have 25 of these. So I have my quote unquote top 25 cards in these just because I think it enhances it a little bit. Kind of fun. It doesn't probably do a whole lot of good, really. Go ahead, Dustin. Answer that question. That's a good question for you.
Holy Grail football card. I could, again, like I can go back and forth on this a lot. I saw when I was actually at the Dallas show, I saw a PSA 10 Walter Payton rookie card. It was about 75 grand is what they were asking for it. But I have that in a 6 and I love that card. I don't know. I just love the look of the card. Walter Payton's all time great. But that 10 it was such a beautiful copy of that card. So I could say that would be an example, but to be honest with you, I mean, if I saw a PSA 9 or a really high grade Unitas rookie or a Namath rookie or something like that, then maybe that would be the Grail. That's a really, really tough one. I think there's a variety of old vintage football that would fall under this category for me. So that's where I would have a tough time deciding.
Well, remember we said we can find common ground with everyone in the hobby. Yeah. I was this close late last year to buying a PSA 8 Walter Payton rookie, just because I thought, man, that card feels like it's not where it should be relative to other great football players value wise. Right. And it's not that it's this combination in your brain of I'm a collector and I go, okay, for me, I want to add this card. Where are some arbitrage type situations that you can take advantage of that things just don't feel right relative to other stuff? And that card felt that way to me. I ended up not buying it. It's actually come down from that, but so is everything's softened significantly. In fact, as a shameless plug, my next podcast, Golden Age of Cardboard, is going to be on looking at some data of some softening of the vintage baseball card market. And it's significant, like cards down 40, 50, 60% from the peak. Yeah. And, but I almost bought that card just, and I love it. And I mean, 8s at the time I was looking at it were around $2,000. Yeah. And, which is a lot of money. And that's probably why I ultimately didn't buy it. I was like, I could buy some really nice.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, if you look at kind of the legendary football players and you compare the pricing to the legendary baseball and basketball players, it's quite a bit lower. And I understand that football cards maybe don't have the same demand right now, but who knows if that changes down the road, Right. So yeah, if you're looking just like value, now as a Cowboys fan, I've got actually 2 Staubach rookies in a 6. I think PSA 6 is like it's like where I find everything in that like $300 to $600 range. And it just seems to, whoa.
You should block that guy, whoever that is.
What happened?
Block them right now. You can do that on your thing.
Okay.
Somebody just took over your stream.
I hit block, but it's still there.
I don't even know.
You still see it?
Yeah, but at least they won't be able to post any more of that mumbo jumbo.
I literally hit block like 6 different times, but I guess he posted like 400 times or something.
Yeah, that's pretty crappy.
Wow.
Heck,
That's
man.
I've never seen that.
I haven't either. I've never seen that either.
I have no idea what that is.
What is going on?
Well, I'm trying to block and I can't block fast enough.
Goodness gracious. That's not cool. Okay.
Well, maybe that's our cue that we're coming. We are coming to the end. Is it gone now? I mean,
I don't know. We've got some other questions, but maybe that just means you'll have to have me on again to talk about it.
Yeah, let's see if it just keeps coming. Yeah, this is definitely Brad. Brad, I'm sorry, man. You don't have to get on here with this weird account and just blast us. This is so crazy.
Somebody's saying, forget about it. He's just, whoever that is, forget about it. Keep talking there. We're giving good information, but hey. Well, we don't want to make it. We want people to watch it on replay, so you can't make it too long because then nobody will watch, right?
Yeah. This is so weird. I'm gonna have to investigate this. It's very interesting, guys. I think that we will wrap. We were coming to the end anyway, but yes, we will have Mike back on. I'll try to figure out how to, like, I don't know. I'm literally hitting block and it just keeps on coming.
Well, it's all good.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe that's our cue. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. And we ended with a bang with weird chat. You know who this is? This is Ty. This is Ty showing off his technological chops.
Probably Ty. Well, thanks for having me, Dustin. I appreciate it. And you're doing a great job on the tube, and glad to have you as part of the community. And we'll have you on Hobby Palooza next year again.
That would be awesome. And for guys, if you are new to Mike, he's on BenchClear Media, and then also Baseball Collector. He's on both of those YouTube channels. So definitely check him out there. We will talk to you again soon, and we'll have Mike on again here soon. All right. See you guys.
Keep collecting.